Yeah. How are you guys doing? Oh my god, the mayhem flag. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Have you guys managed to sit through Lords of Chaos before the film?
I have.
Yeah.
It's I found it a rather painful experience.
You know what? You gotta take it for what it is, and it's just an unrealistic dramatization. But Val Kilmer's kid's in it.
Floyd, if you don't mind, could you tell me what you hated about it? If I'm being totally honest, I actually enjoyed it, if I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, do you know what? I think I get massive secondhand embarrassment. Which is why I've never been good with programs like The Office. Like the US one's pretty good because it takes out a lot of the secondhand embarrassment of the UK one. But just some of the dialogue was super, super cringy for me. But no, I agree. Like if you take away like the history of what actually happened, it can be quite enjoyable.
I never saw it. That's about, was it Euronymous or?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Varg, and it's got Macaulay Culkin's brother. I can't think of his name right now. He plays Euronymous.
Rory Culkin.
Rory Culkin.
I was trying to figure out I joined in the middle of that. I was trying to figure out what we were talking about.
Yeah, I feel like me and Floyd, because we're so English, we're like very practiced in the art of shame. So I think anything just feel shame is like so painful for us.
What part of England are you guys from?
We're both in London right now.
Okay.
Floyd has some Scottish heritage.
The beard gives it away a bit, I think.
My dad is from Cheltenham.
Oh, nice. I've never been there.
It's lovely. We went like 2 or 3 years ago, and growing up, I would go almost every summer, and yeah, I loved it out there. Oh,
how lovely. Yeah. England's like, it can be really shit, but it can also be really beautiful.
Cheltenham's quite cool. Did you go to the race course while you were in Cheltenham? It's got a massive horse racing course there.
I've been to it before when I was younger. The last time I went, I don't think there was any races going on. I love going out and jogging around town, and I would always go jog around the race course. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us anyway. Just to say a massive congrats on the new album. And was it 500 copies that have been sold through Bandcamp? Physical copies?
You sold out. You had like 500 different. You had like loads of different runs of 100 vinyls in different colors, right? And you just sold out of everything in like a few days. Is what I saw.
We sold out of our like domestic product. I think there's still some stuff floating through Evil Greed in the UK. But
yeah. Oh, is that? I need to get my hands on it then. I didn't realize that there's something there. Thank you for letting me know.
I think one of the pressings we did for them, because we did 2 runs for Evil Greed, and one of them I believe is sold out, and I think one is hanging on there.
Are you guys going to come to the UK?
We'd love to.
Yeah,
please
ideally.
Come.
Cool.
It's been a conversation for us for I think over 10 years now of trying to just go to Europe in general. But I don't know. It might actually be feasible. I think maybe I don't know. Possibly next summer. Not of 2021, but of 22 maybe.
That would honestly make a day. Like, I think a lot of the European crowd would love you as well. And I'd like Damnation Festival, you guys would fit in so well on their lineup. There's like so many.
We've been invited to play a few times, and it's just we've never been able to line up the pieces correctly.
Oh, that's really interesting to know. I like that you have. So hopefully that means that you will again.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think we're in a spot. I think the thing holding us back then was we were probably like not as, I don't know if mature is the word, but like we just weren't ready. Like we couldn't get our ducks in a row, and now we're all adults or whatever, and we could have the infrastructure to pull it off feasibly.
I remember reading in an interview you said that you were a band that kind of did stuff during moments. So you had like periods where you kind of didn't do things for a while, and then you kind of suddenly have a burst of motivation. So like kind of what made you get back into your current moment?
Do you want to take it, Jackson?
Sure. So I mean, all of the like breaks we've taken have been kind of unintentional, if I'm telling the truth. It's kind of just, gotten to a point that it's been, at least in the moment, it's felt like more trouble than it's worth. And we know that we've needed a break. And in our younger years, we would call it breaking up. We would say like, we're done, this band is not working. And then as we got older, we started to like realize that this was a pattern we were doing. And so then we started to referring to it as like, oh, we're just not active right now. And we kind of always had in the back of our minds, hopefully eventually it will come back. And thankfully it did. And this time around, we had been inactive for, I think, about 4 or 5 years. And I can't remember if it was either Brandon or Scott first who kind of like laid the foundation to want to finish our record that we had instrumentally recorded 5 years ago. And Scott had an idea of just like putting the songs online for free. And then after listening to him, he was like, actually, these are good. We should finish them. And Brandon had the motivation and wanted to do that. And Brandon, you said it best, like in a recent interview. I think you and I had a conversation and I was very like hands-off, dismissive of.
Oh, well, yeah, because I had brought it to your attention. I wanted to finish it probably about 2 years before we actually did finish it. And Jackson straight up told me, and Scott was still playing in Jackson's other band, Benoit, at the time. He was just like, hey, well, just so you know, you're more than welcome to do it, but you're not going to get any help from us because we're doing this other project and you're on your own. And that kind of, I think, I wouldn't say it demotivated me, but at the same time, it didn't help push the project forward. I think it was Scott coming back and being like, hey, look, we really need to finish this album. I mean, for a while, listening to those tracks was pretty hard. Not necessarily just because they didn't have vocals on them, but they just brought up a lot of kind of bad memories. And I think we all kind of felt that. And I think we had separated ourselves long enough from when they had initially been recorded, and we had issues to where we were. And we were just like, okay, we actually like these, and they're not necessarily tied to those memories anymore.
Mm. Yeah, Andrew kind of helped me fall in love with the songs again. I think we met at a pizza place, and I remember just like the way Andrew was talking about the songs. I was like, oh yeah, like there's some really cool parts. Like I actually am really proud of it. But it's kind of funny the way that external factors will influence the way that you think about anything, especially your own music.
Yeah, I feel like I can't speak for you guys, but I feel one of the things I really like about your music is that it's so personal, but at the same time I don't necessarily, I feel like I would like to ask you, like, when you are writing those songs and like when those lyrics especially get put to those songs, like, are those lyrics you, or are they a part of you, or a projection of like an archetype that you feel within yourself? Like how close?
They're definitely very personal.
Yeah.
Like I could break down specific lines and go, well, it means this, it refers to this, and this moment in particular. I could really break down pretty much all the lyrics to specific things. They are very personal, they're very autobiographical, and they are kind of a reflection on that time from when we initially started to record this album to when we actually finished it.
I like, when I was listening to this, I was trying to find the lyrics for songs for the Enamel Queen, and I couldn't find any, but what I could make out were brutal as fuck. Like very, like I something that I find about your lyrics, they really remind me of the writing of Chuck Palahniuk. I don't know if you're a fan. He wrote like Fight Club and Choke. It's that very like conventional style of like brutal, opening up yourself and just being like, this is me. And I really like that. It's like at times very relatable, even though I feel like it's super masculine at the same time. But I really dig like the fucking brutal groove of like the lyrics and how they like juxtapose with those fucking incredible guitars that you made them, right? Like the drop G guitar bass things, monstrosities. Would you consider making me some? Like, can I commission to make me one of those incredible dirty guitars?
Those guitars are actually that you're referring to the ones Admiral uses, Admiral Angry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
Honestly, they sound so similar to me because they're just like brutal and big, and I just assume they're the same ones.
Yeah, I didn't have the chutzpah to make my own guitar. Daniel from Admiral Angry took it to another level and made his own guitar. I just took a normal guitar and tuned it all the way down.
Fair enough. So if you guys ever like decide to start your own drop G guitar factory, please let us know.
I do remember, like, because Scott was using the same guitar for several years, and if I remember correctly, like Scott, in our beginning years, your guitar would go out of tune a lot. Like I remember, like most shows, if we would listen back to the recordings, by the end of the recording, it would go out of tune. But by the end, or not by the end, after several years, it's almost like the guitar got used to it. Or I don't know if you got better at it.
I think I just got better at the upkeep and keeping it tuned. I think when we decided to play in drop G, it was like throwing a dart too. It was like we were playing in a band that was like similarly heavy, but not the exact same style. And when we decided to evolve that into whatever Black Sheep Wall became, it was like hit the note. That sounds good. That's G. Let's do that.
That's fucking impressive. Yeah, I remember like when I started like doing more music stuff, the guitarist of my project like was obsessed with drop G and like the bomb string kind of style that you guys had, and was like, before we did this interview, all he would talk about was your guitar. So I had to ask about the drop G tuning and all that stuff. So thank you for entertaining me in my ignorance for doing that.
It's one of the things that really intrigued me was I was reading a previous interview and you guys were discussing the incredible slam dancing of your local scene. And I'm a bit of a slam fan myself, so I just want to know if there's any. I know Bear Claw are quite a local band to you guys, right?
Yeah, you know them?
Yeah, I've heard of them before. Yeah.
One of my
They were our rivals.
Okay, wait. Before we go down the rival lane, because that can be dangerous, but I'm happy to talk about it. I am actually very, very close with their singer. He's one of my best friends to this day. He's not making music currently, but hearing you drop their name right now like totally blew my mind. Like I didn't know that people were still aware of them. That's really, he's gonna be really excited.
I just went through a phase because the thing is with California, it's really because like England gets a lot of credit for being the birthplace of metal, but I consider California to be the birthplace of a lot of extreme metal, whether that be thrash, death. You know, there's so many seminal bands have come through that state. So I went through a phase of just looking for the most obscure and just heaviest, like beat down heavy bands for the longest time.
That's funny. That blew my mind too.
That's seriously amazing. And also, it's very interesting to hear you say that, because my perception from growing up near LA, I've lived in California my whole life, has almost felt like California is like this odd duck of metal. Like there's a lot of it here, but it's kind of, it's a contradiction, because the culture of California, is like, it's always sunny, and it's all materialism, and it's all these things. And then so if you play in a metal band there, it's like almost like it doesn't make sense. So very interesting to hear you say that you've kind of located it as a focus point of a certain kind of music.
Yeah, to be honest, the US has always been one of my favorite scenes for extreme music. And it's just, I went through phases where I'm just very geographically focused. I'll go through a month of just trying to explore the most obscure Czech gore grind bands for 6 months, and then switch over to black metal from Poland. And so it's just, I don't know, there's something I find really interesting about how there's similar characteristics to each scene, and how there's commonalities in a lot of the music, but it's great to hear different perspectives of those same commonalities.
Awesome.
Right on, yeah. Never thought of it that way, really. And that must be like a fun exercise in like learning new music or finding new bands. I'd never thought about like geographically like focusing on a spot and trying to find what's there.
That California like contrast between like the height of the American dream and like the extreme bands. Like I feel like that's something I really feel with your music, with like especially with like the lyrics and the way like the music contrasts with your album covers. Like I'm Going to Kill Myself is one of the greatest album covers I've seen on like an extreme metal album. And you know, like I really like that kind of cartoonish satire like mixed with this like incredibly like real fucking exploration of the mind, but also like Metallica and the way that that song is written is like really interesting. And like I remember for like years I was like, that's so weird that there's a song and all these songs have like weird names. Oh, that must be like just maybe that was like the notes that you took while writing the album. But then I actually read the lyrics properly, and now I feel like I it clicked where it's called that because of a reference in the actual song, and that's like so clever. I really like that you guys do that, and it kind of links in with what you guys were saying about, you know, California and the contrast between that happy sunny weather and the brutal music. And I think that's kind of what is done really well with the music from that county.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that
Thank you.
Connected. That's great. Yeah.
I think that like is a thread in our entire band too, is like people, like personally speaking, when they meet us, they're like, whoa, we didn't know you guys were going to be like such normal, like almost goofball type of nice guys. But when, you know, you don't have a face to the name and you just hear the music, I guess I could see how it'd be like this weird contradiction. It's like when you actually meet the people, it's like, oh, it's like the band's comprised of like a fourth grade teacher and like, you know, a bunch of married dudes and dudes with kids. And so, yeah, it's an interesting thread that I think is just like a natural thing that's always been with the band. And then like, it's always been spearheaded by the fact that we're like so okay with being personal and open. And even in those moments when we're our most vulnerable and personal and open, and even if it's a dark subject material, I think we've always coped with it by like being able to laugh. Like we've always like our shortcomings, our failures, like most of the time we could turn it around and like, you know, laugh till our like we have tears in our eyes over something, just like the comedy of errors sometimes with the band.
Yeah, I think that's. Go ahead, please.
I was gonna say I completely agree. I mean, to me that's like essentially what makes life endurable to some degree is like as the worse it gets, the funnier it gets with time, and kind of vice versa as well with a lot of things. And I think we were somewhat lucky, or I think maybe Jeff had a lot of that influence with our first record, kind of like opened up my perspective on that. But at this point, I think we did it so intentionally with our previous album that our current record probably has the least level of satire in it. And I think Brandon explores that much more in Rostower. I don't know, Brandon, if you would agree.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that sense of humor is much more prevalent there. But I think our recent record is kind of taken more back to not bare bones, but just kind of like speaking for itself and what it is, and not having to hide behind a joke to some degree. It's still there in pieces, but I think just less so.
Would you be up for kind of going more into like the lyrical content, Brandon?
Yeah.
I would love to hear more of what you've written.
Yeah, anything in particular or just in general?
Yes and yes. Like, tell me everything.
I mean, how much time do you have?
Well,
I gotta grab
we've got a fair amount of time. We've got like at least 20 minutes. So.
No, so like the lyrical content for this album, in a strong point, and being very open and honest, is there was a point where there were vocals and lyrics and stuff that doesn't appear on the album recorded, and just there was a big falling out, and part of the issue was I had a drinking issue at the time, and in the 5 years that we took that break, I mean, it got worse and it got better, and I got myself to a place where I could sober up and I could get my act together, and I was getting to a point of being like a functioning alcoholic, and it's not really a good place to be. And once we decided to reignite this kind of spark, I took that time to really reflect on the time that I had almost kind of wasted. And some of the lyrics were written, you know, like in a, what I would like to refer to as like a past life, like a past me had kind of had these ideas and whatnot. And I was able to kind of redraw from that, recontextualize them into, in some ways, like telling a story. I mean, it's not like a coherent story with a start and finish or anything like that, but it is definitely an experience. Like the first song on the album is the first song that was written for this album. It's the first one I started initially writing lyrics for back, you know, years ago. And the last song is definitely the place of most clarity when I like refocused and started writing. And I think I just kind of worked my way, filling in the blanks in between there of just, you know, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to say? I mean, I'm not trying to be preachy. Everyone, you know, live your life. Yeah, life's hard. Fucking, you know, sometimes you want to check out, and I 100% support that for the people that want to do it. But the reality is you need to be able to get up and be yourself and do your job. And I was checking out of being myself or doing anything at a certain point. And I think I just really needed to think and reflect upon that. And some of the lyrics are really, in my opinion, like very dark and pretty honest, and probably more honest than I initially intended to be. But I think that like is an overall summary. If you have any lines in particular, I'd be more than happy to dissect them for you. But I think that's kind of an overall summary of what the album is. And, you know, the Enamel Queen is not like a reference to any particular person. It's an addiction. It's something that drives you, something that controls you, something that you have no control over. And I think that like if people knowing that gives the album a little bit more context.
I think one of the things I really enjoyed, it was in a previous interview where you were saying that, you know, the short answer was the Enamel Queen is in essence a representation of addiction, but in actuality it's an accumulation of many things and many negative aspects of life. One of my favorite parts on the album is, I love the track Ren, by the way. If you've got a disproportionate listening stream on Spotify, it's because I've been listening to that track nonstop. And one of my, I just absolutely love it. It sounds almost like a French horn, but it's when the acoustic part comes in and you've got the backing of it's almost like a trumpet or a French horn. And I think it just sounds so morose and sorrowful. And I think it just adds a whole new level of dynamics to the album.
Thanks. Yeah, that was definitely stepping outside of our comfort zone to do something a little different.
Yeah, I felt like the guitars like were a little bit different. They were kind of proggier and more melodic than your previous work, which is really interesting. Like I really like that you guys are exploring all this new territory. Lyrically, going back to the old lyrics. First off, like congratulations on getting out of that dark time in your life. I'm really happy to hear that you're not there anymore. That's really like heartening. And like secondly, there were some lines that like really stood out. I think one of them was oh god, I'm gonna completely fuck it up because I have a terrible memory. But it was one of the things you said, I think, was like the biggest mistake I made was trusting the shithead that was myself. I apologize if that's wrong. Yeah.
No. That was very you got it.
I really like that. Was amazing. That lyric is amazing, and like I'm really interested in. I feel like I know people and myself who can relate to that, but like probably in very unique ways. I don't know how you relate to that, and you don't have to tell me, but I am very curious about it.
No, I'm more than happy to. That song in particular, that's from New Measures of Failure, and that song to me, and what the most lyrical content about is about relapse, and I think that line almost sums up that song as a whole. Of a relapse. You trusted yourself to get better, and then you go, well, maybe I could, just this once, and I can have control over it. It's not controlling me anymore. And I think that's a lot of where that line comes from. For me personally, I mean, everyone can have their own interpretation. I like to take kind of for lack of a better word, because I don't think that this accurately describes it, but almost like a Lynchian take. I'm more than happy to tell everyone my experience, but I want them to take something from it as well. And I try to write in a way that a lot of the lines have double meanings for me, but can have double meanings for anyone else who is wanting to, almost apply it to their life as well. Because everyone goes through shit and everyone can find something relatable. And what the song means to me is not necessarily as important as to what it means to someone else.
I think that's the power of like how honest you are. I think like when you get that bare bones, like I think a lot of people who've been through shit can relate to whatever you're saying, even if it's about something different. So it's really cool that you recognize that and that you do that. Like I don't know much else music where people are just don't care about, like, I don't know, not that you don't care, but like you aren't worried about judged, whereas I think a lot of people kind of care how they look or like what they're saying and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that I want at least as far as the lyrical content goes, to be open to interpretation. And if you just think it's heavy, it's awesome. If you just think it sounds cool, awesome. If it connects with you in a way that is not how I initially wrote it, that's fucking great. Like I love that. Like I 100% support that. It means something different to every person who listens to it in my mind. And as long as it, they're enjoying it, and I kind of lost my train of thought. As long as they're enjoying it, I fully support it.
Nina, it's interesting to me to hear you, because I feel like we've been asked this a lot recently. People are connecting to the music and they kind of connect to our band in this way, specifically with the lyrics. Like, we know you mean what you say, as opposed to putting it into a song because you're a metal band and it's supposed to be dark, or like there's some level of it being authentic. And I love that. It's like the highest compliment that I could possibly accept for our band. At the same time, sometimes I feel confused by that, because I've surrounded myself with lots of musicians that I feel like also mean what they say and don't, frequently get that praise. So if you don't mind, I'd be curious to hear from you. What is it that gives our music that sense that you feel like, they mean it?
I think there's like a lot to be said for that. Like I to put it into context, a lot of music I like personally is like very much about like the human condition, I guess, to sound wanky, whatever, but like lingua ignota, bands like that, I don't know if you know,
very much love,
that's like
love
the very essence of pain, of like a very specific kind of pain, which is like super relatable for me because I'm a woman and that's kind of what that's about. But then I also love like obscure, it's like a 70s rock band called Atomic Rooster, and they have all their songs are about like suicide, and it's 70s rock that's like really like yay, whatever. But then this guy's also like, if I don't leave this town, I'm going to kill myself. And those are literally the lyrics. And like they're one of my favorite bands, and you guys are one of my favorite bands for that reason, is that like I can just tell you mean it. And I think that's the thing with authenticity, is that humans are kind of like attuned to being able to tell if something is like truly meant, because that's like a really important survival skill, right? Is to make sure the guy's not like, whoever's like talking to you isn't just trying to stab you in the back. And not that, I think bands are trying to do that, but like I think it applies when you're listening to art, because that's what real art is like the expression of something. And if something is distilled and expressed in a particular way, like you guys do, especially like the juxtapositions, which is like really ancient, like in Shakespeare, in like Greek mythology, there's like loads of juxtaposition, and that kind of heightens and increases the intensity of something. And like in a lot of tragedy, you have comedy as well. So I don't know, I can kind of sense that in your music. And like I can tell like you guys, like when I first listened to music before I read the lyrics, I just imagined some like really big muscly guys on stage. Like I imagine like Harm's Way, and then I read the lyrics.
I wish I was that buff. That'd be sick.
God, we should do a Harm's Way Running Man to one of our songs.
like that was like the first 10 seconds I was like, oh, these guys must be like really like super hyper masculine on like loads of like drugs or like getting all buff. But no, then I actually saw what you guys like were about, like your lyrics, and like when I actually read the song titles and I saw your promo pictures, I was like, oh, these are humans. They're actually real people, and this is real. And that kind of like when I saw that you were just people, that helped me realize like how super real you guys are. I don't know, that's a really convoluted, super long answer, but there it is.
No, thank you.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate that answer.
Oh, thank you. Also, Zoom just told me that we have no time limit. They have given us a gift of extended time. So
all day.
Beautiful.
Jackson, do you have any more questions you want to ask?
Oh. I'm sure I'll think of some. Yeah.
The thing for me is I think there's quite clearly a strong hardcore sort of aesthetic in the music, which tends to be a lot more earnest than a lot of the metal scene. Like, sometimes, there's only so often you could listen to bands sing about dragons and wizards. So I think, sometimes that, for me anyway, that's what connects with me. It's just that ability to so visibly connect to something so much more human.
Yeah, and I think speaking for myself, like before I was into like any form of extreme metal, I came from a background that first it was punk, and then, first, if I'm honest, first it was like Korn and Limp Bizkit when I'm, but then, I explored and found bands like Bad Religion and the Misfits, and then that in turn led to like some of the more hardcore bands, and I always identified more with hardcore, and then that in turn evolved into listening to bands like Converge and Dillinger Escape Plan, and then I think I didn't even know like what, like I knew about Cannibal Corpse, but it wasn't until I met like Brandon and towards the end of middle school, early high school, that I learned about like grindcore and gore grind and all this shit, and that really like opened up my mind to that stuff. But I think I've always been rooted in hardcore to this day still. Like I still love hardcore, and I think that aspect of the band, I probably carried that over from just always identifying with that scene.
I'm still getting used to not carrying that word with a stigma. I think in our high school scene, when we initially formed, there was like this clear delineation of like, there's the hardcore bands, which Bear Claw was very much a part of, and then there were the other bands that Admiral was kind of like the leaders of, and I guess in my head I call it metal, but I actually don't remember what we called it in high school. And so that word hardcore, it's tough for me to like hang on to it as anything that I'm proud of in a weird way, just because it I associate it with like more of like a tough guy or thoughtless style of music. Anyway, I don't know. It's Scott, do you have any of that stigma? Or
yeah, well, I can see like, because I think just like the same way that like metalcore got oversaturated, there was a point in time where like hardcore just got lumped in with like, if you like, I don't know, like I don't identify with like the tough beatdowny guys. When I say I like identify with like hardcore in the scene, I don't identify with that, but I do identify with like the raw honesty of like a real good hardcore band. And I get where you're coming from, because like the scene we grew up in, like it wasn't uncommon for there to be like a hardcore band for the sake of being able to wear like camo shorts and like a Fidel hat and then just like go beat people up at shows. And right. I think that kind of tainted like the view. Like I imagine that's probably like when you think of hardcore, that's where your mind goes to instantly.
No,
right?
Absolutely. It's like a slam dance competition, which is cool in its own way, but it's just not what I think of our band as. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned metalcore, which I find really interesting, because when I think of metalcore now, I think of it becoming infused with like that sort of Gothenburg, Swedish like melodeath style. But to be honest, when I think of metalcore and the bands I love, I think of bands like Converge and the earlier bands like Botch and Vision of Disorder.
Right, and that goes back to what I was saying about things getting oversaturated. Right, it's like I think a band like Kill Switch Engaged opened the door for all these bands to do like you said, the Gothenburg at the Gates style, and they just kind of lost their way with it, and it became like too much, to the point where it was like a parody of itself. Bands like As LA Dying, it's like, well, maybe at one point they might have been like exciting for like a record or two. It's like, do you really need to put like 8 records of that same shit out over and over again? And then like there's like 100 bands that sound just like that, and then you add in like the whole melodic singing thing, which is just like, oy. But yeah, I'm with you. Like for me, and it took me a long time to come to like the realization that like metalcore isn't a dirty word, and like the new stream of like metalcore bands that are coming around to me are actually like pretty interesting. Bands like Bane, like I think Code Orange like kind of champions like that movement too. And like that to me is more metalcore than a band like, throwing it back to the reference, but like As LA Dying. Like if you were to ask me which band's a metalcore band, I would put to Code Orange.
Yeah, they're doing some great stuff in the scene at the moment. It's weird how new metal's getting a bit of revival. And most of you guys, have you always lived around sort of Moore Park, that part of sort of central?
I'm
California?
here right now.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys are quite close to Bakersfield, aren't you? So, and obviously, Korn are the sort of champion sons of Bakersfield. So, it was all about Korn when I was growing up.
Andrew can tell you about Bakersfield.
Yeah, I lived there for about 4 years. I grew up near Moore Park and then moved to Bakersfield for my high school years and got out of there pretty quick. Nothing really good to say about it. Haven't been back ever since. But yeah, Korn's from there, and it's kind of all they got going for them. Yeah, Bakersfield is just a shitty place. It's like the armpit of California.
We actually have a.
Andrew, did you say that there was a radio station that played Korn exclusively or something like that?
Oh wow!
I don't recall that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be a very Bakersfield thing to do for sure.
Yeah.
The last time I was up in Bakersfield,
all country music and Korn out there.
Were you saying Juan?
Oh, the last time I was in Bakersfield, I visited Korn Row, which is a street in Bakersfield that they named after Korn.
No way! I had no idea that was a thing.
Wait, don't they have like the street signs and the actual Korn Row has like K from Korn in it? Yeah,
it does. It's pretty rad.
Is it like Skid Row, or is it as sort of?
Surprising, no. But there's like this really wild like train track that's like right in the middle of like the actual street, or like a train depot. It's fun stuff.
That's wild. That's a fact I'll take to my grave.
That's incredible. We don't do that here. Like, I think there's like a bridge in Birmingham called Black Sabbath Bridge. That's the closest we've got to like hailing our musical.
They got a bridge. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Sounds cool.
I think that's neat, actually. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, if you would have ever gone to Bakersfield, you would know why they would champion anything they could. Bakersfield's pretty bad.
The only thing I've heard Bakersfield is, I think Hunter S. Thompson mentioned it like once or twice. That's all I know. But he was probably shit booking it because that's what he does.
It's probably in reference to like getting some drugs or something.
It could be. That's a good guess. Yeah.
I think meth and corn is like what Bakersfield is known for.
Really?
Definitely.
Yeah. Meth and corn for sure. And I think they have like one pizza place that bands travel up there to play at.
I think it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the name of it, but definitely an iconic place, like pizza place you go down to the basement, they'd have all kinds of bands come through there. I think that was like the one small venue that they had where a lot of like metal acts would come through. But most of the time, I think bands would get there and then kind of see the place. Like I can't even count the amount of shows I've been to where I've been excited to see one band and they just like dropped last minute. It's kind of a commonality there, unfortunately.
The place was called Jerry's Pizza, wasn't it?
That's right.
That's what I thought it was called.
Yeah.
Such a good idea for a venue to be able to eat pizza while a band plays. That's like the fucking best thing in the world.
Yeah. There's a few of them out here that do that.
Whoa, America's awesome. I mean, it's a mixed bag, but that's some cool shit. Like maybe the American dream ain't so bad, huh?
I'd rather be in England, man. But
please do come over, please. Like, come and play like a tour. If I had like $1 million, I'd give you that money so you could come. I want to see how like English people slam dance. I've never actually been to a show here that isn't like a shitty pub show where people have just done the, you know.
Yeah,
stuff.
just go to the next Hate Breed show, Nina. You'll see a fair amount of slam dancing there.
You'll have to pay me a lot of money. I'm not really a Hate Breed kind of gal.
I'm not a Hate Breed gal.
No, you know what? I only listened to Converge for the first time like a few years ago. I got into metal like a really weird route. So like I kind of missed out on a lot of like the gateway bands, and then I covered them, and they're fucking amazing. Like I love them, but I need to like actually get into hardcore properly because I think I'd really like it. But I think part of what put me off is the whole kind of bro mentality, that the kind of stereotype, which I'm sure isn't true because there's like loads of people who don't look that way. Yeah.
It's true to a degree, but those are the fans. The music's kind of a separate story.
Yeah, the music's great. I love the music. I think that's one of those things I kind of listen like if I'm at the gym or something, or like not at a hardcore show. But to be fair, I went to a lot of black metal shows, so I'm kind of like talking shit. Really, they're kind of way worse than hardcore shows. No offense.
No, none taken.
I actually checked out a few of your side projects. So there's Rose Flower, which I believe is a reference to, I don't know what this is, but a Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, it's there's a movie called The Final Sacrifice that Mystery Science Theater did a riff on, where they have like the two robots and the humans sit and just kind of make fun of the movie the whole time. One of the characters' names in it is Rosdower, and the Mystery Science Theater episode probably says it close to 200 times, and it's one of the funniest episodes I've ever seen.
Fair enough. Okay, that sounds pretty funny. Like I checked it out; it's way different to what I thought it would be. There's like loads of interesting, like weird variation. There's a song that it's like rap in the title, and I was like, "What is this?" But it doesn't sound how I thought it would.
844 Rapture. We were watching a lot, like in the jam space that we practice in. There's a lot of, there's a TV that we'd watch a lot of televangelism on while we were performing or while we were practicing or writing, and that kind of like seeped in pretty heavily as a theme to the band. Just the idea of, you know, the church and televangelism, and they're freaking taking people's money. They freaking almost eradicated a whole community of people here long before any of us were alive. But it just became this really kind of evil thing that we focused on, of just like, why does no one talk about this shit, or why does no one openly say it? Like, we're all down to be like anti-church, but why are we anti-church other than we don't believe in anything, or we don't believe in God, or whatever it is? And I guess it's all the evil shit that some of these, not all, but some of these groups and communities do to not only their own members, but to people in the outside communities. And we just found it as being like very evil and part of like a strong inspiration for the band.
That's really interesting. There's actually there's an English like mentalist magician guy called Darren Brown who actually went to America and pretended to be. You guys have seen it.
Big fan. Yeah.
I love him. He's great. I like his writing book. He's so cool. But yeah, he went and like he pretended to be like an evangelist guy. He got a guy he trained a dude to be like an evangelist dude, and then he went to like one of these shows with one of these guys and like unveils all his tricks, and he talks about like how there are these like ill people who are terminally ill in like hospital beds turning up to these shows and being told, oh, you didn't believe in God hard enough, so you're gonna die because you're not Christian enough. Which is like, it's so
on the week.
Does not really happen over here so much, I don't think. It's really interesting to like hear actual like you guys talk about it because it's closer to you. So yeah, it's interesting you chose that topic. I thought it was going to be about rap, not something so
No, we just tried to make it look like a phone number for like a 1-800 save your life kind of deal. So it's just the 844 Rapture.
That's really clever. I like that. I also checked out, I'm going to completely murder the pronunciation, like Noriega.
Yeah, Noriega, Andrew and I played in together. And Brandon as well. And our old singer, Trey, played in that band as well. It was almost like, I don't want to call it a different version of Black Sheep Wall, but it had all Black Sheep Wall members at some point. And we were doing, I don't know, we were kind of trying to be rhythmically inclined the most that we could, and ended up fizzling out. And I think part of it was because Trey became the singer of Black Sheep Wall. We did write a full-length record that we've, I don't know, halfway recorded, and it might become something else. I don't know, Andrew, you if you have other things to say about it. It's kind of far out of mind for me right now, honestly.
Yeah, it's when did we do it? Like 2009. So it was like Jackson said, myself, him, Brandon, and Trey. I think Trey was singing with Black Sheep Wall at that point. I don't remember. But yeah, very like rhythmically inclined, like think like Dillinger Escape Plan mixed with like Abominable Iron Sloths, so kind of that low tuned 7-string sludginess. And yeah, we wrote a full length, just like the instrumentals for it, and that's kind of sat around doing nothing for a little bit, and it might turn into something or it might not. Trying to figure that out, but it's it was a fun little project we had. And then maybe 2-3 years later is when I joined Black Sheep Wall. But it's always been a fun little side project of ours.
It's really cool. I liked how like it was kind of doomier. I really liked the sound of it, and I was reading about. I googled the name of it because it was mysterious and interesting. And like I can't remember who it was, but it's like the first time someone used metal to torture someone. It was like some dude who was like hiding in like I can't remember, was it like Colombia or something? They used like Guns N' Roses, and they blasted music outside his house for like 3 days until he came out and he was like, I can't take it.
Yeah,
damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Which Guns N' Roses album was it? Was it Chinese Democracy or Appetite for Destruction?
I think when they got Noriega, I think oh God, what's the album? It's escaping me. The big one, the real big one.
The Guns N'
Appetite for Destruction.
Appetite for Destruction. Yeah, there you go.
That's a really ironic name to talk to someone with. Yeah, but that like set a precedent for them, like doing it in Afghanistan and stuff, like playing actual like real heavy metal for like days at a time. So legit, and they do it in Guantanamo Bay as well, right? Yeah. So it's like it's a pretty brutal name for a band.
How long did they hold out listening to Guns N' Roses?
Like 3 days.
Like 3 days. Yeah.
God, they are champions.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, here's a dumb question. If someone wanted to torture you, like using music in that way, what would be the song that they had to play for 3 days to make you break?
Fall Out Boy.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, that's pretty good answer.
I don't know what it is about Fall Out Boy, but that guy, when he sings, it sounds like he's just making fun of you or something. It's like he's purposely trying to be annoying or something.
Oh, I get you. Well, the rest of you guys.
I would say, I don't know. Nothing is really grabbing my attention, but like sometimes if I hear music from a really long time ago that I've played on, it's very hard for me to listen to. Just because, you know, listening to too many details, even our first record, I Am God Songs, is very hard for me to have on. Like I can't really listen to it. Just because it feels like a former version of myself that I kind of just don't associate with anymore. So I think for me, that would be like the most torturous. Not necessarily our first record, but just music from that time that I played on my high school years would be really tough.
Is that like when you get a Facebook memories and you click on it, it's from like 10 years ago and you wrote like a super cringy status? Because I get that a lot.
I mean, it's actually a lot like that. And it's not to say I'm not proud of that album, but my playing on it, I'm not especially proud of. So yeah, it's actually that's a perfect analogy. Yeah.
I think you're playing sick. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Thank you. Yeah.
For me, I could listen to I Am God songs all day, every day. If I had to pick, it would probably, I mean, as sacrilegious as it may be as us being a metal band, but it would probably go to Guns N' Roses anything by them.
that was
or,
probably second for me.
Yeah, or anything post Dream On Aerosmith. I don't know what it is, but as soon like I find it fascinating. I think for the first like day or 2 days, I might be like, how did they survive with Steven Tyler not having his voice anymore? And then just it would get to me and it would kill me. But I would put Guns N' Roses maybe slightly above it. And I'm sorry, another sacrilegious one. Red Hot Chili Peppers, can't do it.
Yeah.
I cannot do Red Hot Chili Peppers. I apologize if anyone's a fan.
I'm not a huge fan, but that's surprising. I don't know why, it just is.
Oh, it's fun to hate Red Hot Chili Peppers if you're from California. Like I totally get Brandon. I can't stand them.
I think it's like English people hating Iron Maiden because that's something we all do on this podcast. We absolutely hate Iron Maiden.
Really? I love Iron Maiden.
Oh, I love Iron Maiden.
Wow.
Well, we like Red Hot Chili Peppers, so it's even like
Iron Maiden is way better than Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Are they?
Yeah.
Just
sure.
think about the word California whenever you listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers, and you'll notice how much they say it. It's ridiculous.
You know what? I still think of the intro from the OC when I hear the word California.
Phantom Planet.
Oh, Phantom Planet, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good song. I actually quite like that song, but they do say it a lot. It's a very sayable word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it really is.
Wait,
I remember the first time I heard it, and I was just like, they mentioned the 101.
Juan, do you like Red Hot Chili Peppers?
There was a point in time I did, yes.
Oh.
I mean, like, I don't know. I'm originally from the East Coast, so I'm like from Connecticut, New York, that whole area. So for me, when I listened to Red Hot Chili Peppers, it was kind of like, oh, dope. I can think about wanting to be in California, but I would not say like it like had any impact on me. It was just like stuff Connecticut people would listen to like every summer, like that Dave Matthews Band and like a lot of Tool, but like a lot of Tool, a lot.
Not to go
I
on
think it's weird.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, dude. To me, is the singer, man. I cannot stand that singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, why does he have to do that? You know?
It's that vocal outro. What's that song? Is it Can't Stop? When he's just singing the lyrics at the end, it just drives me up the wall. It's just the worst thing.
That's another one. The singer just feels like he's like poking you in the side and making fun of you. It's like, God, shut the fuck up, man.
He's always got a haircut that's like 10 years younger than his age, too.
Oh my god, you're right. That's kind of creepy. He's made of the same material that Iggy Pop is made of as well.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
But Iggy Pop is badass. So.
Yeah,
he is. I do like Iggy Pop. He is cool. I just feel like he's like he should make an action toy of himself where you can like stretch his arms.
He's so dope.
But what's your torture music, Juan, if you don't mind me asking?
Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis. That's
That's a really good one.
There was a point in time I was working as a barista, and that song came on like every hour. And you know what? Listen, it is a good song in the sense that it's a pop song, but when you listen to it enough, it gets hard. It's really hard.
I think mine is kind of in a similar vein to Red Hot Chili Peppers. It'd be Sublime. I can't stand that kind of music, or like bands like Revolution. And living here in San Diego now, it's like anywhere I go, that's all I hear.
Sublime, like the slightly comment. They're the slightly ska pop punkish sort of band, aren't they? If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
yeah.
They're kind of reggae vibes too.
Yeah.
They're very popular out here.
Yeah, Andrew and I went to college together, and he kind of introduced me to this like version of reggae where they just play as many notes as possible, and it was so counterintuitive to me and so weird and confusing. We have a close friend. I don't think he likes it anymore, right, Andrew? But he really liked those bands, like Slightly Stupid and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying about the like a ton of notes. I can't think of exactly what that is, but I know there was like a point
they
where
would just it was just like virtuosic guitar playing over reggae, and it just made no sense to me. I don't know.
Damn it.
Say that again.
That sounds horrifying. Like my two genres I hate the most are ska and reggae. Like I think that is cultural music, and anything within what you described sounds horrifying.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah, I agree.
We're going off on this ska tangent because last night I couldn't sleep, and I've watched an entire live set of the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, and I don't even like them at all. So I watched the entire thing.
But you want to be bored to sleep?
I don't know. It's just interesting that we're talking about ska and reggae, and I listen to.
No, I'm loving this. Let's talk more about music we hate.
Do you guys consider Goldfinger a ska band?
Yeah.
Well, you say that like there's no reason not to, but like I mean, it's only that one song. It's the Tony Hawk Pro Skater song. Every other song is more.
That's their biggest song.
But I don't know. I thought they were a good band, and even that's a pretty good song.
But you like ska.
All right, you're the one watching Mighty Mighty Bosstones.
Step somewhere.
Look, man, I'm not proud of it. I'm still like coming to grips with why.
I bet you have like little checkers on your shoes right now, huh?
I do wear checkers.
Oh my god. I can't describe like how angry ska makes me. I don't know if you have genres like that make you angry, but that's definitely, there's something about how happy it is that really bothers me. Just so cheerful. Disgusting.
I can't think of anything that makes me angry. I mean, Red Hot Chili Peppers is up there, but yeah, in terms of genre, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's one ska band that I like that I could say. I mean, there's certain things I can find in almost every genre. Ska is one of those genres that again, it doesn't make me angry, but I don't like anything from. But then again, if I heard it all the time, or if I had to hear it all the time, if someone was blasting it outside of my house for 3 days as they're trying to get me to come out, I might be very pissed off at the genre.
Well, now I know how to make all of you leave your houses, so thank you for giving me that
Except for Scott, he'll just go to sleep.
Oh, now I remember. Okay, so the reason it popped up in my YouTube algorithm, and they were headlining some sort of like what was like normally like some hardcore festival, and they were the headliners for one day. And so I was like, whoa, shit, do I not know anything about Mighty Mighty Bosstones? So I watched it, and I was like, no, it's just Mighty Mighty Bosstones. Like, they're just playing their normal songs. Like, 45 minutes later, I watched the whole thing. It's weird, man. It's weird.
so random. I guess like the organizer really likes ska and hardcore.
I guess so, because the parallel wasn't there for me when I was listening to it.
I think it's more of a social parallel more than a musical parallel. Because my Bosstones are from like Massachusetts, which is kind of like a haven for a lot of hardcore and punk bands.
Do you like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones?
Huh? I own a record, dude. I'm from Connecticut. I can't. Like some people don't. I don't necessarily like pure ska, but I do like bands like Folly or there's The Urge, which I'm not sure if you guys know of. They're another like kind of East Coast kind of like hardcore ska band.
Wait, hardcore ska exists?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of Folly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Folly fan. It might be also for nostalgia reasons too, but yeah,
you do
I
like
mean,
Mighty Mighty Bosstones.
I had like an album when I was like in 8th grade. Yes.
Okay. Wanted to clarify.
That's so wholesome. I don't know why, but like that's just really sweet. I love that. I don't know what it is about Connecticut that makes that a thing, but like I respect that, man. Like
It's because it's cold there, and we want to live like we're living in San Diego. So we warm up with the island sounds, you know.
Yeah.
You've blown my mind. Like ska hardcore, that's just like, are they like how do you dance to that? Like what do you do?
It's a lot of like skanking and a lot of like moshing. It's if you ever have the chance, check out Folly. I think they play This Is Hardcore Fest. I think it's like 2006 or something like that.
That's amazing. In British slang, a skank is like a very undesirable woman.
It is out here too, but it's also a form of dancing.
It's also how you get down with ska music.
Yeah.
Skanking.
Yeah,
What a wonderful word.
Look up Folly.
I will do that. Honestly, I'm going to do that on the way home. I'm going to be blasting that shit and screaming angrily. I can't wait. So, what are you guys doing next? Like, what are you already writing your next release? I'm really curious. Like, what are your plans apart from your secret things that you can't tell us?
We don't have very many secrets. We're currently in a big disagreement about if MIDI is cool or not, and I'm outnumbered. The rest of my band thinks MIDI is acceptable and a good way to demo, and I am firmly against it. So we have to work out our issues before we write any more music.
Wait, real quick though, I got to interject here. If I remember correctly, wasn't the whole Noriega record initially written on MIDI before we actually jammed together? Everything except for maybe Holocaust.
Kinda, yeah.
All right, so you're okay.
It was more like Guitar Pro. It was like Guitar Pro files that sounded like MIDI, but basically MIDI.
What Jackson fails to mention too is his backup for demoing drums sounds like he's playing drums like 10 rooms over, and like that the microphones are covered in tinfoil.
Yeah, it really lowers the quality of the audio quality. I shouldn't say that it's not the quality of the music, but the audio quality like dips significantly.
But to that point, yeah, we're writing. It's hard to get together, with the pandemic and everything. We all have different like extenuating circumstances that makes it hard for us to get together. But it's definitely like on our plate.
I'm excited, and if you did go with MIDI, you could release like a special edition MIDI album of the. You can have like some 8-bit artwork. Maybe like a black people. Hey.
This is what to replace Jackson.
Yeah, I really hope that the MIDI wars are resolved soon.
Yeah.
Have you decided on a theme for lyrically or musically? Are you being conceptual, or are you just going to go play?
I've been mulling around some ideas when listening to the demos that I've gotten and whatnot. Nothing like solid yet, just a few ideas that I want to definitely do. I kind of need to sit with them more. The songs need to develop more, get more solidified. As far as our new music goes, we have other stuff in the works to kind of be out there and active. That I don't know if we can announce or talk about yet, though.
Yeah, everything's still like, as far as new music, it's all very much in the infancy stage where like themes and conceptualizing is kind of like, we're not at that point yet. Like it's always on the purview, but yeah, it's like, we have like a song and a half written essentially.
Do you tend to have like a moment where it all clicks? Or do you usually just have like a set time where like, okay, we're 3 songs in, it's time to think about what it's going to look like overall?
Huh.
In the past, it's been more we get into a routine of coming together and having songs, and then often we end up scrapping up a ton of music. But once we have like close to a full length, then we start thinking like, oh, could we like fill in a gap right here with a song so that the album flows a better way or something like that. But up until that point, it's just like organically getting together, meeting at a TGI Fridays, hanging out for a little bit, playing some riffs, going home, until eventually we're like, oh, we have enough material. Like we could make this into an album. That's kind of where it's.
TGI Fridays in like 8 years.
Well, yeah, our band.
I know exactly what you're referring to, though.
Yeah,
and a lot of those were you and me getting winged.
Yeah. You're right.
Thank you. I'm right about MIDI too, by the way.
I want to hear both. I want to hear MIDI sheepwall, and I want to hear guitar sheepwall as well. Oh, thank you so much, guys. Like, I really hope that, like, if and when you come over to the UK, we can come hang out with you, and like we can do some card readings for you guys too. Don't worry, it's not like wishy spiritual.
No, I'm
shit.
totally into that. I'd love that.
Yeah, anytime you guys want a reading, just hit me up anyway. I love doing it for bands and stuff. It's like, it's been so fun, and you guys are so fucking cool. Like, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
I'm really honored.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this was much more of like a fun conversation about the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's what we're about, man. Like, that's secretly our MO, is just to try and have conversation.
To try and
Red Hot
discredit the
music.
Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
We're actually paid by them to actually just low-key bring them up and advertise them. This is entirely an advertising scheme for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. To us.
They won't be
I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, you know, like, is there anything you guys want to talk about? Like, any promo you need to do? I hate saying that word. For, like, you know, the songs for the Enamel Queen is out. You can buy it on Bandcamp. You've got the Evil Greed UK records, which I may buy one after we finish this conversation. The vinyl and stuff. So, and hopefully some shows when things are safe as well coming up.
Yeah, I think in terms of pushing what we have, I think but like you mentioned, Songs for the Enamel Queen is out there now. If you're in the UK, it's a lot easier to get one now through Evil Greed. All the streaming platforms, the Apple Music and Spotify's of the world. I would say keep an eye on our social media. We have some things to announce coming up soon that we can't talk about quite yet. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, unless I'm forgetting something.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at. Since you gave us the opportunity, Juan and I played in another band together called Benoit. We're finishing up a full length right now, so that'll be cool when it's done and we're able to release that. As far as Black Sheep Wall stuff goes, we're really we're full of gratitude for how many people have connected with the music already, and selling as many copies as we have has been really awesome. Seeing the response from the record, so just thank you so much, and thanks for having us today.
Thanks for being you.
It's fantastic records. Just quickly, Benoit, does that happen to be a reference to the infamous wrestler, the first name Chris, or is that completely unrelated?
Juan, I'm going to let you take that one.
It means good luck in French. That's all I know for right now.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
I used to be in the band, and I used to love. Well, I still love pro wrestling. So
Same.
I started the band.
Have you migrated over to AEW yet, or you a WWE man?
Oh yeah, I totally. I mean, I love WWE, always will. I can't bring myself to watch 3 hours of Monday Night Raw every week.
Oh, same. Too tedious.
Are you familiar with PWG?
Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, yes.
So I in like the past 5 or 6 years was in close proximity to the building they ran in. So I went to shows there on a monthly basis. And so
Nice.
all those guys that are blowing up in AEW, I saw them apply their craft in PWG for years. And so it is it's funny to me because PWG was this little veterans hall in the middle of the valley that from the outside just looked like this rundown building, but it was hosting the best professional wrestling on the planet. Just this tiny web box.
Yeah, some of the PWG matches were just unbelievable. And it's great because I feel like AEW's taken the independent talent and still letting them be independent talent, if that makes sense. Whereas WWE is a bit more, they want you to kind of conform to their mold as a professional wrestler.
Yeah, and I'll come around for the big shows, the pay-per-views for WWE, but the weekly TV show, there's so much wrestling to watch now that I can't bring myself to watch all of it. But yeah, lifelong fan, unabashed. I remember in middle school, a girl that I had a chance with to go on a date that was really cute was you like pro wrestling? I was like, fuck yeah, I do. She's like, we didn't go on that date, but
that's so adorable. I remember reading that, was it Jackson and Brandon you guys met, and one of you was pro wrestling in the back garden in kindergarten?
Oh, that'd be Jackson and Scott.
Sorry, I mean that makes way more sense considering the conversation you just had. Sorry, but yeah, that reminded me of that. Like, that's really cool. You've been a lifelong fan. That's awesome.
Yep, I'll probably watch them later today.
Did you did you have your own sort of finishing move you adopted when you were sort of backyard wrestling, as I did?
Yeah, I used to like put my friends in a fireman's carry and then drop them into a stunner.
No way, like a TKO. That's sick. Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
I've suffered that many times, by the way.
I
was always a tombstone power driver man myself, and let's just say it's lucky no one was ever crippled.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think back to some of my friends' parents, like, and I would go over to their house and wrestle their kids. It's like they probably hated me, man.
I did mixed martial arts for like 6 years. So
awesome.
I used to like wrestle. I used to like American freestyle wrestle, but I've never like pro wrestled. But like when I do watch it, it's really cool. But I like the only crossover is like Josh Barnett. I know he's done some pro wrestling, and Sakuraba, because they have like an amazing Metamoris fight. It's really well worth watching.
I love. Sakuraba is awesome. He actually, he crosses over. Well, I don't know if he's still doing it, but for a bit there, he would do like the pro wrestling stuff too in Japan.
Yeah, I love him. He's like, I've seen his training videos. They're so fucking cool. He's just like an absolute warrior. That guy is awesome.
Badass. Josh Barnett actually just put on a pair of shows recently called Bloodsport. And
I've seen.
Yeah, they're basically worked fights. It's like pro wrestling MMA, but it's like, it's in the vein of pro wrestling, but they treat like cool. There's no ropes and there's like I think it's only TKO and submission is the only way you can win the matches. It's pretty sweet.
That's from Metamoris, because Josh Barnett fought in Metamoris, which is like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu wrestling like promotion where there's no timed matches. You just fight until someone's submitted, which is like it's really boring if you don't like jiu-jitsu, because it's just people like kind of grip fighting for about half an hour, and then it's like a sudden flurry of like, it's just like really nerdy fighting. It's like not at all as entertaining as pro wrestling, but it's like. It's cool. There's like Japanese drumming at the same time. So
that sounds sick. I'll check that out.
Yes, it's well worth watching. Like, yeah. Thanks for nerding out with me for like a minute.
Awesome, guys. Well, fuck, we talked about all my favorite things, except for
except for Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah.
The things we hate and the things we love. I mean, that's a good conversation. Yeah, I hope we can like, do this again at some time. Next time you guys need to promote something. Not that we're like a massive thing or anything, but we're always happy to share any news you guys have or talk to you guys again. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to us. Thank you.
I just want to say a heartfelt congratulations on the album and the success, and I wish you guys continued success in the future.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us too. So yeah, I mean we can go now, I guess. I'm really awkward at ending these things. We're just gonna edit like the bits, I guess.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you for coming.
See you guys. Thanks a lot, guys.
Have a lovely day.
See you guys in another 5 years.
Hell yeah.